And welcome to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for a brand called DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We support experts in living well and doing good in their communities and around the world. Predominantly speakers, authors, internet marketers, coaches, all kinds of experts that are really elevating and lift people up. And do we have one of them here with us today? Merav Richter.
Hi.
Hello, hello, hello. Good
Hi.
to see you.
Great to see you. What a pleasure it is to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's an honor. I just love your energy. I got to say that right off the cusp, because you're just so alive.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
And you know, I feel that every person has the capability of that. You know, if we remember, you know, some people say there's optimists that see the glass half full and pessimists see the glass half empty.
That's right.
Well, those are the people who have forgotten that we can bring the jug.
That's right. It's never too late to be great.
We are the factory that produces the energy, right? Like if the glass is half anything, produce more.
Now, have you always been like that?
No, I was not always like that. Or I believe actually we're always all like that, and then we forget.
Yeah, around 3, 4 on the playground, we're all hanging out together, jamming. You know?
And then
nobody's told us, no, you can't do that yet.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, actually, and that's actually one of the things I speak about and talk about, that we are actually born in ecstasy. And I don't mean that in a figurative, metaphorical way. I mean in that moment of birth, we are flooded with this cocktail of hormones that actually has us coming into the world in a state of ecstasy. And it's funny that you just said bliss, because it's true. The Hindus had this word called ananda, which is a word that has no equivalent in English. The closest we have is often we say we're in ananda. You know, at the end of yoga class, we're lying in shavasana, and that's our ananda, that's our bliss.
Our blissful ecstasy.
But exactly, but bliss, ananda actually means more than just kind of what we've perceived as this zenned out Om chanting at the top of the mountain bliss. It's also this ecstasy.
I love it.
It's ecstasis, beyond our homeostasis.
Now maybe if we go back a little bit to when you forgot, about the blissful ecstasy in your life. You know, and we go through life. You don't have to start too early, but maybe like your teens or when you went through your 20s, etc. We all go through challenges in life.
Definitely.
Care to share?
Yeah, well, for sure. I was an awkward child. Like, I don't mean, you know, the kind that it's like everybody likes, but she's a little bit weird. No, I was a weirdo. You know, I moved around so much. I was born actually in Israel and then moved to England and, you know, didn't speak a word of English. And then to top it off, I had a lisp, so I sounded like Bugs Bunny, and, you know, and I had to go through a lot of speech therapy and a lot of teasing. You know, I was just an awkward girl. And I think a lot of the people that I'm connecting with now as I pursue the path that I'm on, I think a lot of people are coming into this now who also felt that they were not belonging and who felt that they had some sort of purpose or mission. Maybe they saw too much, maybe they felt too much, they were a little bit too sensitive, their antennae were a little bit finely attuned. And so as a child, that's kind of overwhelming. And you know, then we start to develop armor. And we develop kind of steel plates around us that we don't let anybody in.
That's true.
And mine was this steel plate, this armor that I put around me that said, like, can't come near me, right? You can't touch me. And I never really let people in. And I kept
repelled them. You reflected them.
Yeah,
you diverted them.
I diverted them.
Yeah.
You know, and then
How long did that last?
Well, I would say that probably lasted my whole all my teenage years.
Okay.
And
it's tough being a teen.
Tough being a teen. Tough being a teen girl. Like,
Oh,
I know you didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
You know,
I work with a lot of teens, both female and males.
Right.
And, I just
yeah.
have passion for their journeys.
Yeah.
It can go one of two ways.
And I'm really happy that I went through my awkward coming of age years before social media.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine what they're undergoing now with this,
my.
all the added pressure that,
and
so
they
I
don't have
feel
that wherewithal and sensitivity to what they're posting is out there forever.
Right.
Right. They don't get that.
And that the journey that you're on now, that what you're going through now is not going to be the end of your story.
No.
You have control to rewrite
true.
that story at every era, at every epoch. You go through different archetypes in your life. You wear different hats. You wear different dresses.
Learn,
I look at the
you
things.
open up different, chests of wisdom and ancient secrets.
Ancient secrets.
Tell us about
exactly.
these ancient secrets that you know of.
So yeah, when I was 18, I actually, I was just a really awkward kid, and I got into some, not a great scene during my teenage years. And so I went, kind of at 18, I went and started working as a peacekeeper. In Israel. And
very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool, and it was kind
Great
of
experience for a young person.
Well, it was a great experience, and I would say it actually opened something in me. It was sort of my spiritual awakening. And to say sort of dark night of the soul, I know it's cliche, but really that's what it was. There was a dark night of the soul, and I awoke and had just the right teachers come into my life, just the right mentors, just, put me on.
The student was ready.
The student was ready. And I started to pursue these mystical cultures and these mystical understandings. And
very cool.
Came back to, as an 18-year-old, came back to start university in September. And I remember, I was driving on the way there, and I said, this doesn't fit. I can't go through life kind of pretending that I'm studying these books that have been around. I took philosophy, and I remember going to the university professor and saying, something really strange here. There seems to be only men on this course syllabus. And he said to me, well, if you want to learn about female thought, go take a women's studies course. And I thought, is that true? Could that be right? It just didn't feel right.
No.
And I started to pursue the ancient feminine wisdom that existed, that was never called philosophy. It was called, they were called poetesses, or sages, or witches, or something that rhymes with witches.
Okay.
Throughout the time.
This is a family channel.
But I mean, they became sort of vilified in time.
Yes.
And so those secrets became hidden and suppressed. And
what a different world we live in today, though.
100%.
It's so magical now.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why when I heard the Dalai Lama speak in 2009,
one of my lifeless goals.
100%. It was very, very powerful. He said that the world will be saved by the Western woman. And I went,
was that an aha moment of many?
Total. I had goosebumps, or what I like to call goddess bumps, that just knew that the Western woman, and then that kind of moment a second later that said, well, who are you? The ego kind of coming in and going, who are you? You're not Oprah Winfrey. You're not Condoleezza Rice. You're not Hillary Clinton. You're not even Tina Fey. Like you're not anyone who can speak to the people.
Feminine.
And I kind of listened to that for a few moments and sort of like stuck my tail between my legs and kind of hung my head. And then a moment later, I remembered that there was a great poem, and it asked, but who am I not to be that?
Truth.
Who am I not to be that?
Yeah, well said. Well
Right?
said. Any aha moments? Was there any big epiphany? Was that kind of it when you kind of moved more in towards your professional career?
100%.
Because I'd love to talk about that a little bit.
That was the catalyzing moment. That was the epiphany, the aha. When I felt with my whole body that was just the right way. That I am one of a tribe of Western women that are bringing all this feminine wisdom, this ancient feminine wisdom that has been suppressed and repressed and kept hidden and kept secret.
Now, is this part of your women empowerment business? Because I'd love to learn a little bit more about, you know, how you go about empowering women, maybe some of the things that other women ask you with this deep knowledge. You know, what do you share with them?
So a big thing is around, I run workshops, and I've written, and I speak on stages, and one of the biggest things that women ask me for, I mean, the biggest thing that we have is this just allowance, this block around allowing ourselves to be ourselves. That's one of the big things. But how does that actually look? What are the things that we repress?
Would you mind sharing that for 30 seconds to our audience?
Yeah.
Tell the women out there.
Well, one of the greatest things, you know, the biggest things that we talk about is how to live an orgasmic, ecstatic life. And that doesn't just mean, you know, in the way that we see when we hear those words, in the way that we see them. We're actually talking about waking up in the morning, going to bed at night, feeling connected, feeling luscious, feeling juicy, creative, lit up in your own body, in your own life, and then walking the path and following the destiny that's assigned for you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, how do our guests actually find you?
Well, definitely. They can come to meravrichter.com.
Beautiful.
And find me, and there's a lot of free gifts there, so I welcome them. To your audience members, please come and take your free gift.
Very cool.
And also
Very cool.
on Facebook,
Okay.
at Merav Richter.
My dear, thank you so much for coming on this show. I know you're going to do some magical work here on this planet. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for Dynamo Entrepreneur. We are going to keep things going. We have another incredible guest on the show. Her name is Sara Fisher Durst. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. It's an honor to have you on the show. You know, I know you have a really fascinating story, and there's a lot of similarities that we could probably talk a lot about. Before we get into that, I'd love to maybe go back into the younger years, maybe share a little bit about your youth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am the oldest of three,
cool.
and grew up in Windsor, Ontario, with a pretty blessed life. My father was he's retired now. He was a physician, and we had everything we needed and pretty much got everything we wanted. High school, I entered high school and I became a competitive athlete. I was
a swimmer, correct?
I was a swimmer, yes.
At a very high level at that as well?
We won OFSA champions.
Nice.
So I mean,
hello.
that was awesome.
Yes.
And it actually still to this day, when I hear the song "We Are the Champions," I remember walking through the gym up to the front. We all had our swim sweats on, but walking up and standing on the stage for some presentations.
Nice.
And I actually get them. I'm even getting them now. I get the goosebumps. Like, that song is awesome.
Oh, it is.
But you know, while all that was happening, I had started using drugs, and I was like at the lunchtime user while I would go to practice before school, go to school, use, come back after school, and
really, eh? So there was crossover between
had some
the sports.
crossover starting.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Was it just the group of people you were hanging out with, or just rebelling?
You know, I don't know if I don't really know what it was. My mom used to say that I was a difficult child to raise. I think that I just had one of those issues with life. I wasn't happy for some reason, and I mean, as I said, I was pretty blessed, but there was something that just never sat right.
So would that be kind of like functional addiction? I had the same thing. You know, I went through my 20s, and even though I was going to work, I was still partying on weekends and sometimes during the week, etc. But I was still having a life and still going out and about in public. Functional addict, is that what that means?
Definitely, because what happened was I went off to university, and I wasn't sure what to do, and I moved out west, and then I went off to teachers college, and then I moved back to Windsor, and I got a job as a teacher, and I was definitely using every single day and going to school. So I like going to work as a teacher. I managed to get to work, use, and things were just functional. I was able to handle my life as it was until.
And now you're married, and you know, you got a different lifestyle altogether, you know, and you've moved into a completely different direction.
Absolutely.
Maybe share a little bit about your professional life with us.
So my you know, at the end of the addiction, I've now been in recovery for about 9 years. And
congrats, 15 for me.
Yes, awesome. Yeah. We are the best. Well, no.
We are the champions.
But for me, I met a man in recovery, and I ended up moving to Cambridge, and he told me on the phone that he was going to he told me, it was so funny, he said, I'm going to tell you this one time, and you'll probably never hear it again. I love you. You're a good person, and you deserve a chance. So I think you should, you know, leave where you are and try coming up here. And I was like, secretly, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. So of course I move up here, and then, you know, he fell in love with me, and we had our, of course, why not? And we had our babies, and then he dropped a bomb on me, which was, I think you should get a job. And
a job.
I couldn't, honestly, I couldn't get one. I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. He was like, you should go back to teaching. And I said, you don't understand. Like, they're teachers, you know, shout out to all the teachers that are watching. They work really, really, really hard.
They do.
It's hard work.
My
and I knew,
a teacher.
I knew that I couldn't do that anymore. So I was like, I'm going to work online.
Okay.
You know, I started searching, and I find an online opportunity, and I got on board, and my husband was very supportive.
That's great.
And then, you know, after enrolling only him and my daughter in my opportunity, he was like, this doesn't seem to be working out. And I, you know, went along and found some other opportunities, and currently he's pretty happy.
Nice. And now this opportunity, you care to share?
Sure.
Tell us about it.
It's I am with a company that we are a wearable technology company.
Wearable.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm wearing one right now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it's called the Hilo, and it monitors all your bioparameters. It's got a panic button. It can help you remotely monitor loved ones around the world, and it's a really cool device, as well as you know, it's been helping me with my health.
I love it. I love it. Now, as a business person with this, is this predominantly where you spend most of your time? Is this the company that you would call it a day job, or do you have set hours? Because I know network marketing, you know, it takes a lot to really get up in the morning and to really go for it and to set your goals, etc. You know, do you take it serious like a job?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It is a job.
Yeah.
It is a job. I mean, I start my days off fairly early, 5:36, and I listen to some motivational things, sometimes some dancing music, you know, things to get myself going. And the most important thing about it is the fact that you get to work with other people and help them with their dreams. So it's all about, there's a big culture, there's a huge culture in this industry, and
Do you ever run into any negative people? You know, you're such a positive ray of light. You know, how do you diffuse that?
Well, that's hard. It's really hard, and for me, it's really hard to stop caring about what other people think. And you know, I had to think about that a long time, because they don't pay my bills. You know, they're not going to retire my husband. They didn't send my daughter to overnight camp, right? So I'm the one who does that, and in order for me to do that, I can't care about what they say, because in network marketing is a legitimate profession, and there is something like $200 million a day paid out.
Crazy.
So I want some of that $200 million.
Nice. Now, do you give back in any way? Are you involved in any sort of a philanthropic initiative or any good causes?
Well, my daughter started her own business. She called it Kids Helping, and
Kids Helping.
Yes,
very cool.
May
I ask how young she is?
She's 7.
7, very cool.
Super adorable.
Nice.
But she has definitely been motivated by seeing myself with my business, and my husband has his own business, so she sees...
Is he in the same type of business?
No, he installs modular walls.
Modular walls.
So it's heavy, hard work, which is part of the focus for my business, is to be able to retire him from his.
Very cool.
But she sees me putting myself out there, and she actually tries to recruit people for me all the time. But she has a real love for animals. So we have, she is...
Any specific animals? Dogs, horses?
She loves
all animals.
Cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah, she's 7. She
loves
the cats and dogs, and she always wants to donate money and food and different things to the Humane Society, and that's sort of her Kids Helping is for that.
I love it. At such a young age too. You know, she's got a great role model.
Thanks.
Now, maybe if we were to share, you know, some nuggets of wisdom with our audience, you know, what would you share? Let's say, you know, in the network marketing arena, because it's such a big arena, and there's probably a lot of our viewers that are involved with that in one way, shape, or form. Maybe some wisdom. some tips.
Some wisdom, some tips. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It is all about mindset. And, you know, I say this to anyone who listen, actually. Like, whatever you believe to be true is true for you. So if you believe that you can do this, then I'm telling you, you can. If you believe that you can't, or you believe that no one's going to want what you have, then that's the attitude and energy you put out, and no one will. And I hate to tell people that that's the situation, but it is. And it's about positivity and about being a better version of you, because the you are right now is going to need to adapt and to grow as a person in order to be the you that you want to be. And I don't know.
I love it. I love it. How about, you know, going back 9 years, some of the people that are watching from the other walk of life and journey, a couple tips.
Oh, you can get out. You can get out of the life that you're in. I mean, I lost everything. I lost my freedom. I lost my house. I lost my job. I lost a lot of friends. And I thought for a long time that I was destined to be an addict, and that was all I deserved, and that I actually thought I would not be around anymore, and I proved it wrong. Like, you deserve more. If you want more, you can have more, and you just have to go and get some help and do it. It's scary when you feel like there's nothing left, but there is. I don't know.
It's never too late to be great.
It's never too late.
It's never too late to be great.
Great.
Now, how did they find you? How did they get a hold of you to connect with the Hilo product?
So, I mean, I found them actually through leadership. A mentor of mine was, he was partnering with something new, and I had to know about it, because leadership, things rise and fall on leadership, and you have the right leadership and you can move mountains. And
that is the truth. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Thanks.
This is the Dynamo Show. I am James Erdt. I'm here with Sara Fisher Durst, and we will see you right after this short commercial break. And welcome back to the Dynamo Show. This is James Erdt. I am the Chief Architect of WOW for DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We interview the most amazing people on this show, predominantly speakers, authors, internet marketers, coaches, all kinds of experts that are really empowering others. And we have another one here today. Her name is Rebecca Palmer.
Hey.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, my dear. Oh, I'm so excited to. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm excited to share your story. Maybe we'll get into a little bit about the younger years. Let's talk a bit about your past, you know, and some of the challenges that you went through as a young person. I know there's a lot of synergy there because I went through a similar journey as a young person. So maybe we'll start there.
Yeah. So I've had quite an interesting journey through life. Small town, middle class, lower middle class family. Born on the wrong side of the tracks.
Okay.
Actually, technically on the wrong side of the tracks. We were born into lower middle class community that was beyond the tracks. So I passed over the tracks constantly through life. So it's interesting. And then I found myself later on in life becoming a mom at the age of 16. So grade 10 high school. All my plans to go to university and everything else just seemed to change. But
it does change.
It does. Yeah. But I still managed to finish my schooling on time.
Good for you, congrats.
Raising my daughter and still getting great grades. And then I did go on to post-secondary school.
Great.
But it wasn't quite what
right
I
away, or
planned it
did
to
you
be.
take some time off, or did you?
No, I actually went on time,
right
but I went to college. I changed my expectations because I lost a little bit of faith in myself. I lost the ability to believe in myself to do great things.
Instead of university, meaning?
Instead of university, instead of traveling across the world,
okay,
that's where I lost some of my self-confidence. And it was an abusive relationship with my daughter's father, and it just wasn't good. So that took a lot of my self-esteem away. It left me no longer able to really be feeling capable of reaching for great things, of believing that I could do anything I wanted, because I started seeing myself as just a mom, as a teen mom, and doing everything I can to overcome that.
But how many teen moms don't even go on to college? You know,
I know.
Like, how many just stop there?
And
you know,
that
grade
was
10,
something I
grade
was
11,
determined.
grade 12 finished, right?
I was determined to graduate on time. I was determined to be the best parent I could absolutely be. So I went to parenting groups and other things and tried to support other parents.
Oh, that's great.
I was still involved with Scouts Canada, so I was venture assistant advisor for OPP Ventures. So we actually went to the OPP once a month and did information sessions, learning sessions as part of a vocational venturing course.
Oh, very cool.
And it was through Scouts Canada and earlier with Girl Guides that I really developed my sense of service and helping others.
Very cool.
And it was
How
really
rewarding.
it was rewarding. And the fact that they accepted me, a pregnant teen, to continue being a venturer with the Scouts Canada program, that seemed absolutely amazing to me, because so many organizations still, just over 2 decades ago, would frown on that. But instead I found so much support and acceptance.
Do you think it's a different world now? Do you think it's very different how they would look upon that now?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just that I was very fortunate with the group of people, if it was my background or how I behaved normally, but I actually found acceptance. I was probably the last person anybody expected to become pregnant at a young age.
Were you good in school? Were you like, what kind of student were you?
I was good in school. I was the goody two-shoes who didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it was a shock to you, your family, the school?
Nobody believed me. I actually had to show them an ultrasound picture before they believed me. So yeah, completely unexpected. I would have been the last person anybody ever expected.
Well, your little one is a great role model, I bet, you know, to continue through school.
Yes,
you know?
And I've inspired all my kids. So I now have 4
How many kids?
in total.
4, very good.
4,
very good. What are the ages?
9, 12, 19, and 24.
Okay.
Can you tell I have too many? I can't remember their ages off the top.
I've got a 23 and I got a 6. You know, one came from a party, one came planned, and then I got 2 step kids to be, a 12 and an 8.
Yes.
So same deal.
I just celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary too. So.
Oh, another fist pump. Hello. That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And is he, what does he do? Is he kind of in the picture a lot? Is he?
My daughter's father, my eldest daughter's father is not in the picture. I mentioned the relationship. And
so that parted ways. And
that parted ways. And my husband I've known my husband since I was 12. We actually met camping, and we've been soulmates ever since. And it was actually one of those first vulnerable moments where I really took that big chance. I had had that puppy love crush on him for years and years. And one night I got up the courage to say, hey, do you want to be my boyfriend?
Oh, nice.
Playing Ouija board in
Ouija board.
I
remember that.
Weird.
That takes me back.
And then we talked for the next 2 nights, and 20 years later we're still married, and it's actually just been about 23 years. 24
Are you still
years
playing Ouija though?
Not Ouija board, but we're still having lots of fun together and supporting each other. And he's an entrepreneur too, so.
Right on, yeah. What does he do?
Well, we started a business together, store fixtures, packaging, printing. The industry dived. We pivoted where we could. I left that business, and now he also does garage doors and garage organization, installation, both for himself and for another company.
Okay.
He always has something on the go, and amazing helping guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Now, maybe if you were to share, you know, a couple of nuggets of wisdom with our audience about, you know, maybe some of the younger girls that are out there that either, you know, have had situations, you know, like that, or are going through a current challenge very similar to the one you went through. What would you share with them?
Well, and there's so many different types of challenges. It might be teen pregnancy, it might be a learning disability, it could be bullying, it could be a health issue. It doesn't really matter what the issue is. There's always times where you're going to need to be resilient and look at all the options. There are always options out there, and that's something that we tend to forget, and that the schools tend to make you forget as well. The schools tend to be focused on getting you to graduation and getting you to post-secondary school, and that if you don't take this course or this course, your life is over, which is really, really silly, because there are always options. When I was in school, I did a couple courses by homeschool because I had some complications with my pregnancy. And then the year before, I actually found out I was allergic to wood shop. So I ended up doing a self-led course in AutoCAD.
Okay.
So I sat in the classroom by myself and took AutoCAD design, self-teaching myself. Yes. And there are self-led courses out there. In fact, I'm working on trying to get some built for entrepreneurship because I know the importance of youth and young entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Now, I know you've been involved with a lot of different youth organizations in G20 as well, correct?
The G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance.
Yeah, yeah.
And the GEC, which is Global Entrepreneurship Network. This is actually their pin.
Ah, there you go.
And basically, so I've traveled the world now. I always wanted to travel when I was in school before I had my daughter.
Yeah.
Now I do that. I travel a couple times a year. And the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance was held in Australia in 2014.
Okay.
So I was able to go down, meet with other young entrepreneurs around the world, discuss the issues facing everybody across the world.
Amazing.
And we have a lot of similar issues. Global youth unemployment is one of the biggest issues.
Yes.
The need for entrepreneurship to be introduced at a younger age
is
another very important issue.
Yeah.
And just different things like startup visas, not having access to information, the need for transparency in government funding, all that stuff. It's stuff that we all share mutually across the board. And then from there, I've ended up in Colombia, in Medellin, Colombia last year for the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. Yeah. And South Africa this March. And it's just
so you hate traveling, you're saying?
Oh, I absolutely hate traveling. No, my dream job would actually be to be traveling around the world interviewing entrepreneurs.
Oh, cool.
And talking about the realistic part of being an entrepreneur, talking about where they came from, how they got into it, and the struggles they've had along the way, because we tend to celebrate all the good, happy stuff, but we forget to talk about the failures, we forget to talk about the struggles, we forget to talk about that time that you couldn't pay the electric bill and your power was cut off. But they're all things that actually happen to entrepreneurs.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, and we move past.
I love it, I love it, I love it. We're gonna go to a short commercial break and we're gonna continue the conversation.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned with us and we will be right back. And welcome back to the DYNAMO Show. I am James Erdt, and we are sitting here with Rebecca Palmer mid-conversation, and we are going to continue now with the professional world of EntreLaunch.
Awesome.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the brand.
So EntreLaunch is a business I've had in development since, I'd say, 2013.
Okay.
I started with an idea for Teen Start, which was a micro fund for teens.
Nice.
It's something I'm still working on, but EntreLaunch has evolved to be even bigger. And basically what EntreLaunch is, it's a way to provide activities, workshops, and events for a primarily youth focus of age 10 to 24.
Okay.
And how it came about was going through the idea, doing all the research and everything else. I took a course in Coursera on social entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Because social impact is a big, huge passion of mine.
I love that word, social entrepreneurship.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's such an amazing thing, and I could go on a whole side tangent. You'll have to ask me later about millennials and social entrepreneurship.
Okay, I will.
But anyways, I took this course on Coursera from Copenhagen Business School. Ended up, there are about 5,000 people in the MOOC. Massive online open course, I believe is what that stands for. MOOC.
Gotcha.
And what we had to do was basically form teams or groups to work on different projects. So I pitched my EntreLaunch idea, and then I started working with 52 people from, I think, like 30 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
how cool is
to
that?
do the research and development. And as groups often go, it ends up being down to just a small percentage of the full group doing the work. So we went down to about 7 from 7 different countries. We did meetings regularly, weekly, and we did Google Hangouts, figuring out exactly what the different dates were.
So amazing, the
and
technology
the time.
nowadays to connect us all, eh?
Yeah, and we had lots of fun doing it. We did funny things like wear the hats on Google and everything.
Okay.
And together we were able to put together this massive plan, this massive idea. And then when it was all said and done, several of them stayed on as advisors. And I now lead it in Canada with plans to expand. So
now are they leading it in their respective countries?
they will be.
They will be, okay.
Some of them are on maternity leave. Other ones are working in another industry right now. But I do still have these global advisors. So we have meetings a couple times a year to get feedback on what's going on in their own areas. And there are lots of things you have to consider when you're planning any business working with youth. One of the biggest things is how the education system and extracurricular activities differ from country to country. If you're from an Asian background, anything you're doing extracurricular needs to be very much focused on increasing your education and increasing your learning. Here in Canada, they may be more interested in sports or dance. They may not have the same value on that. Timing that's available for doing extra activities, it's important. And then also the money aspect. Because a lot of families just don't have money. So we have arranged it so for every 6 enrollments, we can offer a scholarship. Because it's really, really important to me to be able to reach all people, regardless of geographic background or financial background. And I also come from the place, and I know you would be aware of this too, a lot of entrepreneurs come from a background where they either have learning disabilities, they're at-risk youth, they just don't enjoy school because they're bullied or for some other reason. They've had an injury, some reason where formal education has not been their best friend. Their
best experience,
Exactly.
Right.
So we're
or they don't learn
really
that
hard
way.
to reach them. And one thing I did find with some of the similar programs like Junior Achievers and DECA, things like that, they focus a lot on the business students that are already on a post-secondary path. The ones that plan to go to college, plan to go to university, plan to go into corporate work.
Yeah, this is true.
And they're not the ones that are going to be more likely to become entrepreneurs.
This is true as well.
Yeah, so we're really aiming to get the general population as well. And I know what amazing ideas kids have. Teens, kids, they don't feel constrained yet by society. Nobody has told them it can't be done. We're still, or the teens are still able to believe in launching the first shuttle to the moon or creating an airplane. They haven't been told no.
And how cool is it now, like the internet just connecting all these teens so they're inspiring each other of what's possible from other parts of the world. They see each other doing really cool things. I mean, the trend now on Instagram is becoming a traveler and going around the world and capturing all these great, you know, opportunities and activities from all over different places of the planet. So it's pretty wild to see how they're learning in addition to school.
Yes, and that comes back to the earlier point I said I could go off on a tangent about. Millennials are actually born thinking globally. And our next generation too, I have no idea what they call it now. What do they call our young
what's
generation?
after that, eh?
I don't know. Anyways, they're born thinking global. They already are going into it. They have smartphones, they have access to every country in the world. So when they're starting a business or creating an idea, they're thinking
right out of the
all
gate.
over.
That's
right
their
out
backyard
of the
is their smartphone.
Yes, and they're also very socially minded. They want to change the world. They want to create an impact. And that's one of the things that we do with EntreLaunch. We make sure that as we're teaching them how to run successful businesses, how to create ideas, we're also teaching them how to implement social impact, how to create strategic shifts versus band-aid solutions.
Oh, how important is that? Work on the cause.
It is. It is. So that's basically
and what's the range of age again?
It's 10 to 24, but
that's a
the
big range.
biggest focus is teens.
Okay.
We run events like Impact Cup, where they go through a rapid business startup process, right from idea creation all the way to pitching to investors.
Okay.
And that allows them to have that chance to rapidly go through the process, have a lot of fun doing it. We bring out a dinosaur costume.
Nice.
We have fun with paper airplanes. And we just like to have the fun because creativity is really important. And I love Einstein's quote, creativity is intelligence having fun.
Oh, I love it.
So we go with that whole work hard, play hard philosophy. We do a lot of team building activities. It's something I do with older entrepreneurs as well. We do team building activities. We go on retreats and experiences. We will jump off a mountain. And we're planning to do youth trips too.
Oh, great.
In the future, and we're already partnered with people to do youth trips.
All over the world?
Yes, I'm just excited to take them to that next level and get these youth jumping off mountains as well.
That's so cool. You know, and they want to. You know,
they do.
They really, really do. They're in a different place now where the possibilities have just expanded. You know, like even 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, we were still living in a little box, but now like the lid's been taken off that box, and people know there's other people around the world doing this kind of stuff, and they're becoming one tribe. It's very different than, you know, generations that have gone by.
It is, and wild. You can learn anything online.
Totally.
And I'll share you a story about my own kids. My youngest 2 kids, my 12-year-old is a video game creator. Okay. So she has created the game Attack of the Killer Zombie Cats.
Okay.
And she was 11 when she built that.
Yeah.
And then my 9-year-old, he has taught himself how to do all types of fancy YouTube intro videos. Oh, cool. Do like Bitmoji characters and everything else, and he's taught himself to do that. Our kids can go and learn how to do practically anything online.
Is he a Minecraft enthusiast, like most young little guys?
Minecraft for sure.
Absolutely
mine loves
too.
it. And then they have all the coding different apps. You can do Khan Academy to learn a lot of subjects. You can do Scratch. There's so many options out there.
So cool, so
and
cool.
building a website, like you can do that so easily now.
Any big why for you? You know, what makes the wheels go round? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Well, it really all goes back to my own childhood. When I became a teen mom, everything changed. And I wanted to make sure that all the youth moving forward feel empowered to create their own future. And that's one of the things that EntreLaunch does. It empowers youth to create their own future, whether it's creating their own business, creating an organization, or creating change within an existing business. One of the things that scares me is the fact that 70% of the current jobs are going to disappear in the next 20 years. So that means that in the next 20 years, there are going to be a ton of new jobs created. And we need our youth to be able to lead the way in innovation.
I love it. Yes. And with organizations like EntreLaunch, they will do that.
We will.
Yeah. Rebecca Palmer, thank you for coming on the show. This is the Dynamo Show, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you on the next episode.